Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is whatever. It's the 5th of July, 2018, and I'm very pleased to report that we have, in fact, survived the Second Civil War. At least the Second Civil War that was predicted by, and I'm going to use hardcore air quotes when I say this, the prolific Alex Jones. That's right. Infowars.com, man of the hour, every hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mr. Alex Jones, the man who probably has some kind of filter, even for the water that goes into the radiator in his probably American-made, very, very, very heavy on gasoline vehicle. That's how I view Alex Jones, and that's not going to fucking change. I feel this guy is one of those prototypical type guys, and like the America type guys, but all while doing it from Austin, Texas. The most liberal city in Texas is where Alex Jones resides. So I just find that to be really funny. When you live in the one blueberry in an entire bowl of tomato soup that is known as the great state of Texas. And I have nothing bad to say about Texas, with the exception that Houston sucks. But other than that, it's all right. I've had fun. You all got drive-through liquor stores next to full nude strip clubs where you can bring your own beer. That's impressive, right? That's fucking impressive. I don't care who you are. The fact that you could bring your own beer, you can rent ice and a cooler for $10 and drink your own beer, or send a waitress to the beer barn across the street to get it while looking at some titties. That's America, man. I'm not going to lie. That was Dallas. It was great. That was also 14 years ago. I literally have no idea if the laws have changed. But the point I want to get to here is the second Civil War. And apparently this is a hot topic right now. Alex Jones predicted this, saying that the Democrats are gonna cause a second Civil War on 4th of July. Well, it is 11:53 p.m. on the 4th of July on the Pacific Standard Time, which means that it is almost 3 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. 2 o'clock in the morning in Central, and then 1 o'clock in Mountain and midnight here. I might have gotten Central and Mountain mixed up. It happens all the time. I don't fucking know. I don't know anymore. I know Pacific. I know East Coast. I even think the people in those states are just like, what time is it on the East Coast? Okay, we're just subtract 1 or 2. It's a guesstimation. It's fine. But anyway, he made this prediction. And people decided to have a little fun with this, right? There's a trending hashtag last night, Second Civil War letters, to which case my contribution was, "Dearest mother, please delete my internet history," because that's all I would really probably care about. not to say I look at anything horrible, all right, and not to say that at all, but at the same time, it's all like, I don't want like anyone to know how much time I spend on Reddit. All right, I think that's like my own personal shame, but it's still better than something awful. Anyway, this fucking Civil War thing. Okay, I've heard a lot of people talk about this now for months. We've year and a half. We just crossed Trump's 500th day in office recently, right? He's been in office now for a year and a half. And again, where we are on a political divide is really bad. All right, like it is really bad. And I think there's been casualties on all sides. You know what I mean? Like, if people get really, really, really political on Facebook, and it's fucking annoying. I've just chosen to not engage. I just post pictures of my daughter because everyone I know, left, right, or whatever, can at least get behind the fact that I have a cute kid. So there's that. But I have actually lost friends on Facebook because I said that not all Trump supporters were racists. And that is the weirdest thing to me. It's the weirdest thing to me because I've seen Trump supporters be racist, and I've seen freaking, Democrats be very bigoted and racist themselves. Neither party is innocent of having sycophantic, dumb shit, clusterfuck retards or chucklefuck retards that acting this particular way. Neither side is innocent here. There's no innocent party in regards to this shit. But I always laugh. At the concept of a second civil war. I do. I really, really, really laugh at that one. People like to go back. Alex Jones has gone on record as saying, like, 1776 will commence again. No, it won't. It won't. Not in the way that he's talking about, right? A well-armed and regulated militia is not going to storm upon the Capitol and take it over. They may talk about it. They may blog about it. You might find some people making YouTube videos about it, but they're never going to fucking do it. Why would they? It's easier for them to talk about it and maybe turn it into a fucking living than it is to actually go for it. It's one of the reasons why when it comes to people in the alt-right, the white nationalists that want an ethno-state, I love to ask them, how? How are you going to get the ethno-state? And their response is, oh, I don't know. Right? And I'm all like, well, can I offer up a fucking suggestion? Go take a look at Dearborn, Michigan. As far as I know, it's the largest concentration of Muslims in the United States. They went to a shithole town in Michigan, of which there are many shithole towns in Michigan that are not just Detroit, and they effectively took it over. They did. They brought all their friends and their family. They moved into this small town. There you go. They kind of have an ethno-state. Not official, but they've got one. So I like to kind of recommend that as maybe like something to model their plan after. They don't like that. They don't like it when I say that, because it's like, oh, the filthy mud slimes. None of that shit. And I fucking hate that term too. I don't like being xenophobic. I don't like being racist. I mean, I think we can like all realize at this point we can get along. We could get along in one way or the other, because I think everyone deep down inherently has a common ground, has a commonality between them, right? Brother and brother. That was the whole point of this actual civil fucking war. It's one of the reasons why it gets brought up, and it's all brother versus brother, father versus son, and like it shows you that this country divided. And I know that politically, in some respects, yeah, maybe it's like, like people think that it's similar, but even though there were a lot of like socioeconomical reasons as to why the Civil War happened, and it wasn't just slavery, it was also states' rights. Slavery played a pretty big fucking part. And since we don't have slaves in 2018 or indentured servitude or anything like that these days, unless you are maybe staying at a federal penitentiary on a weak ass drug charge, right? Thanks, DEA, for your horrible war on drugs that has done nothing to curb the flow. You really can't say that you are, that you're a slave, or that you're an indentured servant. All right. We don't have anything to argue over here in that particular regard. So the same reasons why the Civil War happened are not going to repeat themselves in 2018 or 2019 or 2020. And I don't know if Trump is going to get elected in 2020. I have no fucking idea. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Bernie could roll in, right? Hardcore, mob deep, cock slap Trump, with a victory, or Trump could reign supreme. Who knows? We cannot predict the future. We can only analyze the present and also the past, and then realize that we don't want to repeat the past. So let's be different in the present, right? That's something to consider too. But when it comes to this concept of the second Civil War, again, I want to reiterate a point. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Right? People have been talking about this for years. Okay. People have been talking about this for decades. People have been talking about this probably since the Civil War happened. Like, as soon as like General Lee, basically like ended the fucking war by signing whatever happened and whatever, the next day they're just like, well, war is over, but it's gonna happen again. We're gonna, them Yanks are gonna piss us off. We're gonna rise again. Yeah, I mean, no, at that point in time, the fucking Confederate Army needed like a lot of Viagra. They weren't rising again for that. not at all. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Now, people sit there and they look at these videos coming out of Portland. You had Portland Antifa versus the Patriot Prayer 2018 Rumble in the Urban Jungle sort of thing. And you know what, man? Like, look, that shit was crazy to watch. It was crazy to watch. You had a guy in Antifa run up with fucking with a metal rod. He gets knocked the fuck out by a Patriot Prayer guy, And I mean, apparently that dude has got brain bleed now, from what I was told. I haven't read any articles on it yet, so I have no idea. This is what people have told me. And then you look at Antifa and you're like, no, Antifa, for the most part, I would argue far more on the domestic terrorist side than the people that are on the right. All right, people on the right will bring like a show of force, but they generally keep to themselves, understanding the idea of not wanting to throw the first punch. Charlottesville is this whole other situation where there are so many fucking people to blame on that one. But it predominantly goes back to the police for not doing their job. That's the way I view it. And their whole excuse for Charlottesville is, well, the protesters were leaving the park that was permitted and was secured by police, and then they were engaging with counter protesters, leading to a shutdown of the park. At that point, the cops knew what they were doing, and they should have just held everyone there and said, like, if you leave just to engage, we're going to arrest you. Like, that's for your own safety at that point. I think they should have done that. But a lot of people look at Charlottesville too as being this first point, right? And in the Trump administration, the first declaration of what could be a second civil war. When you got a bunch of, white polo wearing khaki pants that they bought at Target, also wearing tiki torch yielding chuckle fucks, which is my favorite word to describe these people, walking around yelling out, "You will not replace us." However, I did hear a couple of Jews thrown in there, by the way. I saw one video where they were saying Jews will not replace us. It wasn't a you. It wasn't Jews will not replace us. They didn't have a fucking New Jersey accent, right? I mean, I could see how that could be a thing, like Jews will not replace us, spoken really fast with a lot of people. It might sound like Jews, but no, I heard Jews. It was a hard J. Okay. It was a hard J. Yelling out blood and soil. It's like, come on, guys. Come on, look. I get it. You got tiki torches. They're $2 from Walmart. You feel badass because you all look like you work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Okay, I understand it. I get the feeling. You want the power, but that's it. And those were like the alt-right guys that ultimately, like, I mean, they're pretty harmless in their own right. But Charlottesville was a combi. It was meant to be a unite the right rally, and it was anything but that, which is why I don't think we've seen a lot come from this since then. Additionally speaking, I have no idea. I just want to put that out there. I have literally no idea if this is going to be a thing. I have no idea if they're going to come back, August next month, 1 year, Charlottesville, have another Unite the Right rally. But I guarantee you Richard Spencer won't be a part of it. That dude's days I think are done in regards to that. But that was always going to be the case though, too. I want to just kind of pivot. Richard Spencer was calling, as I always coined him, like the GQ poster boy of the alt-right, and he's having trouble even like getting a minimum amount of people to show up to these events. He's having trouble with a whole bunch of this shit. And as a result of that, it's his I guess I could say his importance, his power, right? His influence has waned. And so those guys are moving on past him. Because he's like, look, I want an ethno state, but I still want to bang Asian chicks. Or if you watch that debate with Sargon, there was a young black woman that came out of a shower, and it happened very briefly. And he shuts off his camera, but you can see her clear as day, and that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. It's like, oh, Mr. Ethno State has a bit of jungle fever. All right, man. Like you just want to date him, you don't want to live next to him. I guess that's where you are in these situations. Okay, cool. But yeah, Charlottesville was a huge fucking mess. I don't believe for a second that there's a narrative now that James Alex Fields Jr., who hit and killed Heather Heyer, was acting in self-defense. I don't buy that one goddamn bit. You don't speed into you don't speed into a crowd of fucking people like he did, into the back of another car, because of that shit. It's just, I don't buy it. Not one goddamn bit. But there's a narrative out there, right? That he was being framed. I've heard this narrative. I've seen it pop up. And again, people like him in those particular situations are going to be used by the other side as propaganda. And we see this too on the left, right? They prop up certain people as being victims of online harassment, right? And they use that as a way to market to that particular ideology, as saying like they're oppressed. Everyone in this country who's an activist wants to act like they're oppressed. I'm sorry, that's the way I view it, right? It's a lot of what about me? And I look at a lot of this shit from both sides. Okay, look, no one's perfect, not even myself. All right, I'm pretty sure I've said lots of dumb things, even in this own fucking like rant. I've said lots of dumb things. But okay, to the point at hand, an actual second civil war. Let's break this down from just like a logistical perspective. We have 320 million people in this country, an estimated 250 million to 320 million guns. I've heard multiple statistics, but even then, like the average apparently is one gun per person. All right. But it's a small select minority of people that own the vast majority of the guns. So you're going to have some people out there that are going to be locked and loaded, but most people probably not. So if the militias decided that they wanted to act up and they wanted to storm the Capitol and they wanted to take over the government, they'd have to do so in a way that would contend with the National Guard and then even the military. First it would be the National Guard, obviously. Then, of course, the military would come in and they would fucking wipe the ground with a lot of these people. 100%. Now, if you're looking at, like, let's say the Michigan militia, those doomsday prepper guys that like live off the grid and go through like, combat training and shit, they probably would put a bit more of a fight. There would be people out there, I think, on the hardcore fringe side that would legitimately be able to run some successful guerrilla tactics. I do not discount that for one minute in my mind, that they would not be able to use some tactics as a way to get what they want. Or at least to get ahead or to take out some people on the other side. 100%. They're trained in that shit. But at the end of the day, the might of the United States military would come down on them like the wrath of 1,000 angry gods, right? It's just how that would happen. The government is super powerful and would strike all of that shit down. So in order for a second civil war to go down, you would need to have people. You would need to have people that would want to fight. And now you got some of that on Antifa when it comes to the left, but even that's a small minority. And then you look at like the Patriot Prayer guys or whomever else, And again, it's a small amount of people that talk a big game. And so the question is like, who would, where would the battles take place, right? Where would the Gettysburg be, like at a fucking drive-through for a Starbucks, man? I think what would it be? Do you honk at each other and yell insults, maybe throw a couple punches? Look, man, we live in the age of digital, the digital age. Social media is everywhere. More people would go to these events trying to like film it in order to get hits on YouTube, maybe get a viral video, make a little bit of green. And trust me, as a person who makes my living doing this, I understand that motivation. But it's still not going to do much more than that. Like it would only do that though if it got to a point of where like there was systemic, and I mean like for a second civil war to really kick off. All right, and we're talking hypotheticals here. Some could argue, oh, well, there's got to be like a nuclear detonation on the United States soil. That's gonna bring it up. People are gonna realize that, right? Others might say, oh, another like maybe like Emmett Till situation, where a young black man is killed by a lynch mob over some accusation that was, maybe false. In the case of Emmett Till, 100% false. But that did spark the civil rights movement. What's it going to be? Neither one of those things. People would complain about it online. We'd see maybe some change from the actual government itself, depending on it, or there'd be talk from either side. But it would really take a group of people to start just like, you'd have to have one of those like, anti-war protests that are going to be attacked. Someone would have to be the bad guy. Someone would have to start becoming a legitimate domestic terrorist in order for it to go. That's the whole thing. Neither side wants to do it. Neither side wants to do it as much as they may talk about it. There might be a couple that might go down that path, but we've seen more terrorist attacks in this country, or at least in terms of attacks that come from at least, I think the best way to describe it, probably terrorists, from people who are pro fucking ISIS. right? Like there's going to end up being more like a recreation of that Denzel Washington movie, The Siege, from like 1998, 1999, somewhere in there, where it's like Muslims are put into internment camps because there was a terrorist attack. That feels more likely to happen than fringe right and fringe left starting a civil war. The brother v brother thing is not going to happen, but it might be brother v, brother and brother v, like Islamic extremists. That could be a thing, but as for the rest of it, no. And let's talk about why would that not happen? People are fucking lazy, man. People are fucking lazy. Again, Civil War. I don't know how many people were here in the United States. A couple 100,000, maybe a million. It was a fair amount of people. All right, maybe a few million. Probably way more than a million. I think we lost we lost a couple 100,000 people. I think. Okay, that was a lot of people back then. That was a big part of our population got kicked. Got taken out because of this particular battle. And now we're rocking 320 million people that are just registered, not including the 11.5 million undocumented immigrants, right? Or whoever the fuck else is here, There's a lot of goddamn people in this country. People are lazy. People are fucking lazy. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Simply put, it's just not going to happen. People aren't going to want to give up their creature comforts. They might bitch about it on Twitter. They might bitch about it on Facebook. But goddamn, Luke Cage season 2 just dropped, and they got to binge that shit. Because that's the culture we have right now. We have a few people out there that are going to act. And those very, very, very fringe people. I do hope that somebody sees something and then says something to stop those things from happening. That's, I think, the best course of action. We should, instead of going against one another on political reasons, be looking to maybe help one another, right? Because the way I look at it is on the political Venn diagram of right v left, it may be a thin margin where they overlap, but in that thin margin, I guarantee you a lot of people want the very same thing, right? Maybe it's worded a little differently, but at the end of the day, it is very, very, very much the same thing. People want to feel safe. They want to feel secure. They want their freedoms. They want their rights. They don't want anyone infringing on their rights, oppressing them. They don't want anyone taking their things away from them, and look, man, again, this is just most people want the same thing, left or right. I live in a state right now that now has more registered Democrats than registered Republicans. The state of California has predominantly registered Democrats, but the Republicans are losing out. In many other cities, we're seeing, a lot of these kind of trends, and not everywhere, but we're seeing people that are maybe fed up with a certain, political party, and they're not voting that way. They're not staying on that side. We have the walk away or hashtag walk away from the Democrats because of where the Democrats have gone on in terms of the fringe left, right? And the shit that they spew. And you got people on the right that don't associate themselves with the current state of the GOP. So they sit there and they say that the GOP, walked away from them, and they're walking away from that. I think most people, when it comes down to their political ideologies, are very, very, very middle of the road. Perhaps it's just skewed one way or the other. And it just requires an actual goddamn conversation to, I think, really kind of figure that out. And these rallies, these protests, right? Like the one in Portland and shit. These are done specifically to get the type of media coverage that they get. Both sides go out there, and both sides are ultimately itching for a fight. In the case of Portland this week, Antifa is the one that started it. They lobbed some mortar type stuff into the crowd, and they got it going. In Charlottesville, the white nationalists that left the protected barrier and waded out into the counter protesters and started some shit. We've seen it happen on both sides, okay? Because there are people out there that just are angry and they want to fight. And I don't even know if they always know why they're fucking angry. I have no idea. But this is what it comes down to. This is ultimately where we find ourselves. There's simply not enough people out there that are angry enough to start a civil war. Alex Jones predicting that there's going to be a second civil war is just a way for him to sell you soy body supplements. That's it. Every time that these people sell you on this doomsday fucking nonsense, look to see what it is they're selling on the back end, right? When you go to the fucking checkout stand and you look and you see National Enquirer and they're talking about, Hillary Clinton controls via the deep state. She's got the nuclear codes and that kind of nonsense. They're looking to sell you some crap, right? You go to Alex Jones or any one of those other fringe websites, left or right. What are they trying to sell you? Merchandise, fucking supplements, whatever, man. Because that's where they make their money. They peddle fear. They peddle lies. They peddle bullshit. And it really is up for the average common person to pay attention to that and to go, maybe I shouldn't really get involved in this kind of shit. But a lot of people out there, I think they just like the drama. I'm being realistic here. I think a lot of people out there just enjoy the drama, right? They like to sit back. Okay, like during the Civil War, let's go. This was a real thing. I'm pretty sure many of you out there know this, but if you don't, this is a real thing. During the Civil War, you would have, you'd have the North, you'd have the South, and they would be engaging in very, 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 very organized warfare. It felt like, at least based upon what I've seen in movies and what I've read in books and stuff. And then you look on the hillside, and the hillsides would be littered with people out there with picnic baskets and parasols, because it's a fucking, it's the South and it's the Civil War and it's hot out if it's during the summer. They want to protect themselves from the elements. And they go out there on a fucking picnic date, and they're watching their countrymen brutally murder one another. And they're just watching these things play out. They're voyeuristic. They're just watching this battle, thousands upon thousands of young men being brutally killed, right? Brother v. brother. And they sit there and they watch. Fence sitting was a big thing back in the Civil War and shit like that. And fence sitting is the thing now. I'm a centered moderate, and I get shit all the time. Like, Matt, why don't you pick a fucking side? Because not everything, I try to look at things from multiple perspectives, and see if I'm wrong in my original thought process. And I'm not always correct on that. I will admit, I get things wrong, but that's a lot of it. That's a big part of it. A big part of it boils down to the concept that these people, they watch, they're voyeuristic. And I've always said this, humans are voyeuristic in nature. Why do you think world star hip hop is as popular as it is? Why do you think that people go to these events with their cameras out, hoping to capture some real life violence? I went to one of the Not My President protests in Portland during the first week after Trump was elected, and there was nothing but high school kids there. And then the cops started throwing out flashbangs, and the kids started running away and then coming back because they enjoyed the excitement. But then everyone else out there had a camera, right? Or people out there were live streaming. Because it's out there to get content. It's out there to bring drama from the real world into your phone or your computer or your console. Wherever you are in that moment where you are fucking safe is where they will bring you that particular stuff, because it's drama, and drama equals attention. Drama equals clicks. And wait for it, folks. Drama equals fucking money. A lot of this shit is manufactured, in my opinion. The divide is further manufactured. And it's not like, look, I don't want to sit there and be like, it's just the right or it's just the left. It's everybody. As a person who does this as a job, I can tell you that the more drama filled something is, the more people click on it, because that's what they're after. That's what they're craving. Drama makes the world go round. So when you find out that there are people out there that peddle in drama and they make a lot of money doing it, and they're able to also somehow control the narrative and twist how a lot of people maybe view some shit, and they start calling for a second civil fucking war, right? Or they start predicting a second civil war. You have to ask yourself, how much money are they making off of this? And how much is it strictly just benefiting them? That's what it boils down to. Now, again, like I said, people are fucking voyeuristic, so they'd rather watch these things play out, and they're also fucking lazy. So they're not going to find themselves directly getting involved. Because why would you take to the streets with a gun and overthrow your neighbor who has a differing political opinion about who should be fucking president, when you could sit at home, order something from Postmates, and maybe, if you're lucky, Netflix and chill? And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. There was a report I read a while back that said that people are having less sex as a result of this of the Trump administration. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. All right, I'm just simply pointing out people are fucking stressed. Okay, both sides. People are always angry again. Brother v brother. Social media is a goddamn cancerous nightmare, and they're not fucking. They're not fucking. People need to fuck. People need to come. People need to orgasm. This is not negotiable. This has to happen. You want to fuck, right? You're thinking about it right now. You're all like, yeah, I want to fuck. Yeah, you want to fuck. Because if you fuck, it creates endorphins. You feel better. You feel more relaxed, right? People probably need to sleep more. Take a nap after you fuck. You know, like get that afternoon delight. Like we should honestly, God, I'm telling you, I am fucking telling you that they should at work, they should fucking have like a mandatory, maybe not mandatory, it was like optional, like, you know, like, all right, guys, your first break of the day, you know, go crank one out in the bathroom. Ladies, double click your mouse, flick that bean, right? Come back feeling refreshed and ready to spend the day getting some work done. Maybe not like that, because that would maybe just be a little bit too disgusting to walk into the men's room at 10 a.m. in the morning and, you know, all 4 stalls are full of dudes just beating their meat. But at the same time, how many people out there have jerked off at work? Okay. Press 1 in the comments if you've jerked off at work. I would press 1 in the comments. I'm just saying. There's that. People need to get fucked. They need to be fucked. They need to get fucked. They need to have sex. Penis and vagina, penis and mouth, penis and ass, vagina on vagina, scissor me timber sex. Okay, that needs to happen. And more people would calm the fuck down. They calm the fuck down. They wouldn't go looking for drama as a substitute to fucking. You want to save the world, folks? Fuck. Fuck often. Fuck long. Fuck hard. You want to stop a second civil war from happening? Fuck. All right. This entire 32 minutes has boiled down to me telling you to go fuck. As many of my rants on this particular whatever podcast will probably end up boiling down to. You're having a bad day, go fuck. You'll feel better. You know, buy a fleshlight. Come into it a few times if you feel okay. I mean, ultimately, you want human-on-human contact, whatever it is that you're into. If you're asexual, you're a cheap date. I'm just saying there's that. But that's what it boils down to, folks, is you know, a second civil war is not going to happen. The people who might be prepared for it vastly don't have the numbers to go up against the military who would defend the Constitution, defend the government, and take them out. They're doomsday preppers for a reason. They're waiting for a collapse of society to happen based upon an attack, which, look, it could happen if there was a biological attack or a nuclear attack, right? Or something like that. Like, I could understand that particular perspective, but at the same time, that probably ain't going to happen either. I mean, at least, you know, cross my fingers, hope not. But after that one, it would be about survival, not about overthrowing the government or engaging in a second civil war. So any road down that pathway is simply not going to have the overall impact that people want it to. People like Alex Jones sell you on a lie. They sell you on this fear to also sell you supplements. When what he should be selling you is his and hers lube and a box full of condoms. Because remember, the more you're fucking, the less you're listening to him and getting all worked up. And you're feeling better. You're sleeping better. You're living better. Maybe a political discussion won't be the end of a fucking friendship. Right? Because a political discussion on Facebook probably is not going to lead to a second civil war. It's just not. And if you want a second civil war to happen, that says more about you than literally anybody else. And then also revert back to my previous point. Get a watermelon, heat it up in the oven, and fuck it. All right, guys, that wraps up this fucking rant that I literally just thought about today and sat down. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna talk about this one. I'm just gonna talk about the Second Civil War. So if you've made it this far in the video, and many of you have, I'd like you to type a word in the description to know that you've made it this far, and that word is going to be. The word's going to be soy. Soy. That's the word of the day. SOY, baby. SOY. But truly, leave your comments below. I appreciate everyone who tunes into this and listens. I have so much fun recording these. They are a blast to do. I look forward to doing them now. And I hope to do like single topic stuff more often. Anyway, you guys are great if you've made it this far. Leave your comments. I truly want to hear them. Have yourself a fantastic day. And please, for the love of Christ, just go fuck something.